Hi, everybody. Welcome to the August Detroit Tech Watch meetup. Tonight we have a special guest, a gentleman known for more than a decade. He does all kinds of cool, cutting-edge things, and now he's going to share some research he's been doing on using AI. But I don't want to spoil his talk, so without any further ado, Godfrey Nolan.
Thanks, Honorio. Okay, so where do I start? So this is kind of one of those talks where I'm going to tell you about the journey that I went on, and how I got to the end of the trip. So basically what we do is, so my name's Godfrey Nolan. I run a company called Reese. So we have an office in Troy and we have an office in Windsor. We just opened up one. And we basically do mobile apps for drones. So essentially that's what we do. So we have lots and lots of weird and wonderful apps that we've written for over 50 drone clients. And I use YouTubes and meetups for a lot of our marketing. Basically, LinkedIn, we spam LinkedIn with all the stuff that we do. And typically, if we're lucky, that ends up in somebody contacting us and say, hey, can we do some work with you? So we have our workflow is, which I thought was pretty neat, but then we're kind of like on Rev 2. So original workflow was, we have a meetup. So I do two meetups. So one is drones, and one is the OpenAI stuff. So it's all about the OpenAI API. And obviously, in my mind, I don't see the drone stuff as being what we're going to be doing in 3 to 5 years. I see LLMs taking over the world. So, you don't need to be a genius to realize that that's what's going to happen. So this is kind of like our outreach. The whole world is kind of collapsing on its ass based on SEO is dead. So how the hell are we going to market this stuff? So basically what I'm trying to do is find a better mousetrap for how we market these things. So I'll give you an example where we, on a whim, built our hardware for a remote controller for a drone. That turned into a customer asking us, hey, we want to... however, Meetup, the meetup.com audience is very different from people coming across your stuff on YouTube. So it came across to us pretty obviously. So this is kind of like one of the videos. This is the one where I did re-recording YouTube videos. Maybe I should show you the one that started it off. So I did a talk on marketing automation, which was... I think I did it at the start of this year. So basically what I wanted to do is I wanted to make sure that we were trying to have a couple of things happen where we would post something on my personal LinkedIn on Monday, post something to the company on Tuesday, post an ad hoc thing on Wednesday, post a blog post on Thursday, and post another to the personal, post a blog post on Friday. Basically paying somebody to do that for the last 2 or 3 years. I said, that's a bit ridiculous. Let's just get OpenAI to do this. As a business owner, it's much easier for me to understand what the content's going to be. So basically what I did is I did this marketing automation talk at the start of the year. See if I can find it. So it was this live talk. So I'll show you what that looks like. If I can get to the video.
Limu at your service.
After I get past the commercials from... The endless commercials from Liberty Mutual. Okay. So, but basically, this is what it looks like. So you have, you have a bunch of people who join. It's really good. It's kind of a nice community. It's always online. On the drone side, we have 1,200 people. On the OpenAI side, we've got about 600 people. Sometimes other people come to talk, but mostly it's us doing outbound marketing. But what happens is you can see that if somebody's coming across this on YouTube, it's not the same audience. It's got all these bubbles for all the people. It's got it's got me saying and ah, people talking in the background. We talk about the news of the month, what was released this month, that kind of stuff. So what I looked at, I said, there's got to be a way to streamline this. So this is the first thing we did with marketing automation. So we fire the marketing guy, we replace it with ChatGPT, essentially, although it's all done by Python APIs, calling LLMs. And then the second version is, okay, how do I get it from this to, let me go back to see what the are, and I'll show you what the current version is. First of all, on one side, this marketing automation is 45 minutes, 46 minutes. And then the redone version is 12 minutes. So it's a lot. And come on. It also looks a lot different. So it's basically, it's got, I think this is the slide that I just showed you. So I'm here. So yeah, here's what our process is. And now I have it here. So the thing that got me going is that somebody commented on my videos and said, too many ums and ahs and not enough content. And I'm a huge believer in not taking stuff personally, thinking there's got to be a message beneath that I can actually use to turn into something that's positive. So I said, okay, if there are too many ums and ahs, like I'm Irish, I think it's just my natural thing. We always talk all the time, and our brain's going, ADHD too as well, brain's going too fast. So the ums and ahs kind of fill in the bit where my mouth's trying to catch up my brain or vice versa. Okay, so that's really what we're trying to do. So what I wanted to do was to get a much snappier version of this video and turn it into something like this video, which doesn't have the bubbles, which basically has a much tighter messaging. A lot of stuff, you know, it's like the news articles, the pyramid. So most of the stuff is when you talk at the start. Basically, you just, you know, the pyramid gets smaller and smaller. People probably aren't, there's no way they're going to get to 46 minutes and watch it unless it's a very specific topic that only you are. 10 or 15 minutes. Okay, so we're also up to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. So that's one of the which is tiny, but I do drone work. So actually it's pretty big in the drone community because there's not that many people doing what we're doing. Plus it also, maybe it's another channel I can monetize it. So I'm trying to basically professionalize it so that people can come across your stuff. We can put a better call to action at the end, because the call to action that we're trying to put at the end was very much, oh yeah, we forgot to give you this QR code to sign up for our newsletter. So basically we're, you know, now everything is kind of automated. We have an outro slide that we're trying to do. Okay, so that's kind of like the big pitch for what I'm trying to do. It's already, we're getting, I can show you some of the things, something that we did recently. So if I look at the videos, if we look at the analytics, actually go back to where we were, it's just as easy to show. So this one I redid the other day. So the talk that I'm giving now, I gave previously. So I did it live on July 22nd. And since then, we've had 33 views, which is not a lot of views. And then we redid it the other day, 68 views now. So over time, I expect that's going to get much better. The other thing that's happening as well is that we're getting, which is really important on YouTube, there's a whole bunch of I'm learning all this new stuff that you have to learn about YouTube. But what they focus on is the amount of content that you have, but they're also focusing on how long somebody is spending on your video. So if they're hitting your video for 2 or 3 seconds and popping, you're going to be demoted in their algorithm. But if they're staying on for a minute, and if they're staying on for 3 minutes, that's huge for YouTube. So basically, that's what they reward you by you get further up in their algorithm. Also, the content that we have is pretty unique. So we tend to get, if somebody's searching for the keywords in the drone industry, which would be things like ATAC, would be things like QML, it's the stack that people use. We're already pretty high up on the algorithm, but what we're trying to do is make sure that we get all the way to the top. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to do. So I'm going to show you how we got there. Okay. So here's what I'm going to talk about today. So I'm going to talk about the motivation, which you talked a little bit before and after, which is what I showed you. I'm going to talk about the pipeline. There are some caveats. One of them being that if you have a look here, some of the ChatGPT stuff is still, the DALL-E is still pretty bad at generating the images. But honestly, I think it's trained us so much. Even my mind is just saying, my mind recognizes image, but I don't care about the text being spelled wrong anymore. So, but that will get better over time. So there are some caveats. And then next steps, because my whole goal here is to remove the manual processes in this so that I can take something like an old video and then turn it into the post-processed video that I know I'm going to get better views on YouTube. Okay. Motivation. So the motivation is The meetup audience, the guys that we have, the gals that we have, they're great, but they're not the same as the YouTube audience. And the YouTube audience are vicious. So the YouTube audience it's like the difference between somebody reviewing an iOS app and they go, oh, this is lovely. Maybe they could do something else. And somebody reviewing an Android app, I don't know if you've ever noticed, Android reviewers are vicious. They're way nastier than the iOS compatriots. I don't know why, but they are. And I feel the same between the meetup audience and the YouTube audience. You know, we have the meetup audience. It's like, it's a bunch of people who meet every month. We've been doing the drone thing for 2 years now. You know, I've met some of them in person at conferences and things. That's great. The YouTube audience, it's like, why are you even showing me this? This is garbage. Too many ums and ahs, whatever. So what we're basically doing is repurposing the content and giving it to the new audience. The other thing that happens as well is that we want to update obsolete content. So a lot of the SDKs that are out there, a lot of our best performing videos, the content is, you know, rapidly out of date after 6 months to a year. Some of the best ones that we've done are, I looked the other day because we're redoing hits. The stuff's too old. It gets old, your reviewers start complaining, which is, you know, fairly reasonable. But if you put something in to say, hey, we've redone this, and just hit this slide and away you go. Removing irrelevant slides. A lot of times when we're talking to our meetup audience, we're going to say things like, hey, did you hear what happened this month with the DJI ban? I don't know if anybody knows about the drone world, but the big news at the moment is that the government is going to ban all the DJI drones. And there's a lot of people are for it because of the data privacy issues. A lot of people are against it because the DJI drones are a factor of 10 cheaper than all the other drones, and they're better than all the other drones that are out there at the moment. So they're DJI, yeah, it's a brand, yeah. And then, so, you know, nobody cares about that when they're watching YouTube. And also, they've probably been banned by the time that somebody watches it. So I'm trying to get rid of that. You know, I don't want to talk about, hey, there's this conference coming up that you should put a submission into because it's the wrong audience. YouTube people don't care. Want to make it more professional. So, you know, give you a look at the difference between the two slides. So I'm using a thing called gamma.app, which we'll look at, which I'm an engineer. So I don't code that much anymore, but I used to code an awful lot. And when I design something, it looks like an engineer designed it. So what I wanted to do was find something that's out there that would allow me to make something a bit more professional. It's not, you can't, for a lot of this content is it's kind of evolving as you make it. So it's not like something, you can't give it to somebody else and say, pretty up these slides for me, because as you're doing it, you want to make changes. You still want to make it pretty, but you realize in your head, oh, that doesn't make any sense. I'm not telling the story correctly, so you change it. A designer's never going to do that for you. So this gamma.app website that I'm using, which is $10 a month, super cool. So it does like slides like this, which I think are really nice. Allows you to generate all these images. So that's another part of my motivation. I want to make sure that this looks professional. Anybody who's ever given a session ever anywhere who's done a demo, what happens when you do a demo? It always fails. You're lucky if it works. Say again? Is to give. Wow, I'm going to remember that. Yeah, the demo gods have no mercy. So and then there's weird things happen that when you're doing a Zoom meeting and you're trying to show audio on a slide, the Zoom has the audio, so they're not going to hear what you're doing. So a lot of times, maybe you haven't checked the right button. We were doing it earlier to make you could hear the video here. So, you know, there's lots of stuff that can go wrong. So you can fix it. So you can do it after the fact. So it's great. And then what about adding more languages? So I don't speak Spanish, but the ElevenLabs that I'm going to use will take my voice and do Spanish. So I can get better audiences now. So now bigger audiences now. So if I want to, there's a lot of people going on in India with drones. Maybe there's a way I can start getting into that market. So if I can put it in Hindi or Urdu, that'd be great. So that'd be just one way of trying to broaden out what the market is, even for simple things like Spanish or French or German, and see if that works. And then, like I said, audio issues, that was one of the things that we had before. Okay, so before and after. So I showed you what it looked like before and after. On this side, we have, you got a question? Yeah. I was there in May. I have met Bono. He actually walked me to the bus stop once, and I'm not kidding. Yeah, I was about 14. I went to see a band called Stiff Little Fingers, and the guy beside me got injured because somebody jumped off a balcony and landed on top of him. And we were in like the tent where the first responders are. And one of the guys had already talked to Larry Mullins, the drummer, and they literally walked us to the bus stop. So yeah, that's my story. And it's true. I have a signature of Bono, but haven't met him since. Oh, it's the $700.
Yeah.
Yeah, his The Edge's first wife was married to one of my neighbors' cousins. So Ireland's very small. Everybody knows everybody else. You can find a connection like 5 minutes. It's ridiculous. So yeah, but the drummer's a super nice guy. Got to tell you, Larry Mullins. The other guys, I don't really know as much. Yeah, and that was the day when Dublin was really poor, so everybody would talk to each other. Nobody was high and mighty, but I don't know what it's like now. It's been a long time. Okay, see what I mean? When you're doing a pre-processing, you got to edit out the bit where you start talking the stuff, because YouTube guys don't care about our Bono stories, or maybe they do. All right, so here's my pipeline. So what I want to do is I want to download the transcript. So there is a Python library called YouTube's Transcript API, which allows you to just basically pull down the transcript. So then you want to pull down the transcript, and then you want to summarize each slide. So what are you going to do to summarize each slide? Basically what I'm going to do is, there is a manual step. The first manual step is I have an Excel spreadsheet which tells me when each slide starts and finishes. We've gone on to the next version. We don't do that anymore. But for this version, somebody had to manually go and say the first slide ended at, the first slide started at 0 seconds, the second slide started at 10 seconds, etc., etc. And then we have a checkbox to say whether we're going to include that slide in our final output or not, because the news and the agenda, we don't really care. You know, everything has to be quick on YouTube. They don't care about your agenda. They just want to see what's going on. Otherwise, they're going to go elsewhere. Okay, so we summarize each slide. So basically what we do is we chunk it based on the spreadsheet that tells us when each slide starts and finishes. We take that part of the transcript, we pass it off to ChatGPT via the OpenAI API and say, give me a summary of this. It comes back with the summary, and that's basically what we're going to record with our ElevenLabs. And next, design the slides. We're going to take our crappy slides here, we're going to put them in gamma.app, and we're going to basically, and I'll show you, I'll walk through you in a second, use that to make them look a bit more professional. I know there's tons of, I don't think I'll be using gamma.app this time in 12 months. I don't think I'll be using ElevenLabs this time in 12 months. I would always recommend that anything that you sign up, never sign up for an annual subscription. Always sign up for the monthly subscription, because you never know what's coming around the corner, and it's going to be so much better. And I can see that, like, I thought I was signing up for something the other day, and it was $29 a month if I paid a year, or $49 if I paid by month. And I paid by month because I have no idea if I'm ever going to use that, or I'm going to find something else again. So that would be one of my recommendations. So redesign the slides. We're going to use gamma.app, and I'll show you how that works. Create your own voice. We use ElevenLabs. So you can use one of the hundreds of thousands of voices that ElevenLabs have. I wanted to use my own voice because I'm trying to create my own branding for what the company is. I don't need a mid-Atlantic voice. I wanted to have my kind of half Irish, half American voice and use that for what I'm trying to do. So it's using my voice.
I thought you meant like authorial.
No, it's using my voice. And the cool thing is it'll do it in Spanish and French. It's very funny. It's quite entertaining. I'm sure, I don't know if it's going to happen, but if I was going to predict the future, because I'm going to put a ton of Spanish ones out there, somebody's going to come up and speak to me in Spanish and assume that I know Spanish. But I don't. I have no idea. Okay, so then we re-record the audio. So we use FFmpeg to do that. FFmpeg, which is almost all of the video studios that are out there, are underpinned by FFmpeg. People hate using FFmpeg because it's like so many parameters that you never know what to do. But of course, we have ChatGPT now. Hey, ChatGPT, what are the parameters if I want to do this with FFmpeg? And everything's super simple now. Okay, and then we want to merge the audio with the slides together, and then we come up with what our final video is. Okay, so what do we have? So we have we want to download our transcript and generate the summary. So we have just a simple Python program. All this code is available, by the way. It's in the resources in this. I'll give the slides to Mike, and you guys can look at it later. But essentially, all we're doing is we're calling YouTube. I think I show it here. No, yeah, there it is. So it's a bit hard to see, but we're calling this YouTube transcript API, and you just pass it in the video ID, and it'll give you the transcript. So if you are, if you're playing around with YouTube, you probably notice that I'm going to be all over the place tonight. You probably notice that if you go down here, you see show transcript. So basically what it's doing is it's downloading this transcript, and then it's using whatever the timestamps are, which I up and finish, and it's basically chunking that, and then it's passing each of those off to ChatGPT, getting me like a bullet point summary of everything that I said, and then we're using that to pass into ElevenLabs, and ElevenLabs is basically going to re-record the voice, and then we're going to hear the new version. Let me show you what the difference in voice is.
And it gets
Can they hear the voice?
Okay, so let's look at our meetup.
Whoa.
One more posting. So towards the end, it's going to be exactly the same as what we had before. So we're going to get ChatGPT generate the message to post the image and message.
Okay.
The blog. This automated workflow transforms your YouTube videos into engaging blog posts with minimal manual intervention. This saves hours per week in content repurposing. It also ensures consistent brand messaging across platforms. Just as importantly, it maintains regular posting schedule even during busy periods.
So and then I'm not going to be so. Okay, is that better? Okay, is that better? Yeah, that's it. Okay, is that better? Yeah. All right. Yeah, no worries. Okay, so download transcript. So we basically take where I showed you the transcript. So this is the first manual bit. That's kind of a real pain in the keister. I have got rid of this now, and I'll explain how I do that later. Because basically what I do is when I write my slides, when I'm trying to talk, you get kind of nervous up here. So you want to add notes so that if you forget stuff, you want to put stuff in the notes. So what I do is I turn the notes into what the transcript's going to be for ElevenLabs, and that seems to be working much better. And first of all, it makes me think a lot more about what I'm actually going to say. So hopefully give a better presentation. And then the second thing that it does is ChatGPT still isn't very good at taking summaries and putting them, especially if it is something that's highly technical. It's not very good at turning them into something that I would consider good enough for a re-recorded version. So what I was doing is I was spending a lot of my time fixing the summarized version, where it's just much easier to do the notes in the first place and then just use that as whatever the output was. Okay, let's talk about some code first. All right, so we have our YouTube transcript, which basically goes out and says, give me me all of the transcript. I'm gonna merge that with the slides that we have, that are the slides that basically say when the start time is. And then we have this skip and keep thing. So I don't wanna have the first slide because that's just a thumbnail. I don't wanna have the agenda because it just doesn't make any sense. It's a waste of time. And then we want to summarize it. So this is the first prompt that I have, which was create a summary for the following slide. As you for the one presenting, get rid of ums and ahs. It does get rid of ums and ahs, but here's the weird thing. So I took 4 hours of my YouTube talks and put them into ElevenLabs, and ElevenLabs puts in ums and ahs. Doesn't make any sense. But I guess it just got used to my way of talking. So it thought, well, I better put in some ums and ahs because he puts in way too many ums and ahs. Bizarre. Bizarre. Because I know the stuff that I give it doesn't have ums and ahs because I can see the text, but not on the other side. Okay. So where are we? So the next thing that we're going to do is we've summarizations for each of our slides. Definitely could do better with the prompt, but it'll do for what we're trying to do for the moment. What I'm going to do is redesign the slides. So this is the gamma.app, which I'm going to show you in a second if you've never used it. Yeah.
You describe both retrieving the transcript from the YouTube video and using the notes that you had set up.
Well, in this version, it doesn't use the notes. What it does is it asks ChatGPT that transcript of whatever 20 seconds it is, and then turn it into bullet points. But the new version that I'm doing is I'm just taking it direct from the notes because I'm using LibreOffice, which I'll explain in a second, for some of the parsing that we're going to do the PowerPoint to turn it into a PDF or PNG, a PDF first and then into PNG. And then it's just as easy for LibreOffice to pull out the notes at the same time. So
your future workflow is rather than using the transcript.
Yeah, I think that ChatGPT, I might want to try Gemini or something else, but ChatGPT is not very good at highly technical, summarizing highly technical information. There's definitely work I could do on the prompt. You saw that was a pretty simple prompt. I did do some work trying to give it examples of what I did before, but it changed different ChatGPT because the transcript didn't hear it properly, so it's ChatGP, not without the T. So there's all weird stuff that happens. Good news is, if you get it in the right format, ElevenLabs is actually really good at saying technical things. So it knows how to say ChatGPT, it knows how to say Node.js, it knows how to say Mav SDK, which is Mavlink SDK, which blew my mind. So it's really good. So you got to figure out what the pros and cons are of each tool and then warp them to your needs as appropriate. Yeah. Okay, so this is the gamma.app. So this is what the version looked like when I did it on Meetup. And this is what the version looks like when I do it on gamma.app. Because there's a couple of tricks that took me a while to figure out. Okay, so let's find a PowerPoint. So here's one I do, re-recording YouTube videos. So let's try. If I go to gamma.app. So the version that I have is $10 a month. I know I tried it with the cheap version, didn't work so well. So I'm going to import a file or URL. So I'm going to upload a file. So in this case, I'm looking for re-recording. What were we saying? This one. And then the secret here, there's two things it will do. One is it will transform content, which when you're starting is really good because it uses an LLM to add extra points that you've probably forgotten about. So, but if it's your final version, you don't want to transform content because it'll just destroy all the stuff you have and you're going to have to redo it again. So what I do is visual import. And it asks me for a theme. I'm just going to go with lavender because it's summer. So it's going to take a few seconds to import the slides. You can see how it's kind of setting it up so far. It's trying to figure out how to put the images in. Does a nice version of what the code is. Think of this, the code really well. Sometimes it puts in too much content. Okay, so are we there yet? Yeah, okay. So here's where I think it really kills, and hopefully I can do this properly. So what I want to say is I want to say try new layout. So it's going to give me 3 or 4 different things. Does anybody use Designer in PowerPoint?
Yeah, I use that.
Isn't it the most annoying thing? Because you fix one slide, and it won't fix the rest. It's like, what do you mean? I want it to have the same theme. No, you got to do it every single one.
Every single one.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really annoying. So, okay, so, yeah, hopefully Microsoft Copilot changes all that. Okay, so I'm going to go with this one. There's the original one. There's a few other ones in there. Maybe this one. Okay, and then I can click on the image, and then I can ask it for, I can do a couple of things. I can just say, I can do a web search. So it'll do a web search and pull something up that looks pretty cool. Or you can do Ask AI, and then it will, I'll go back again. You can get it to change whichever one you want to use. Let's use FluxBlast. Yeah, I'm going to go back to what I originally had. I think that worked out pretty well. But as you can see, and you could basically, what I do is I go down through each of the different slides. I ask it to generate a new layout. Let's see a layout that's pretty messed up. This one's messed up. So, you know, I can do things like this, like move it across, but that ain't going to work for me. I can do this. So that's great. At least that's better. Now I can see the code. Or I can ask it to generate an image. So instead of me being the nerd engineer that I am, I now have something that I think is pretty good looking. Pretty, you know, a lot more professional than what I had before. Okay, so that's gammed it up.
Take that picture because you have that theme.
No, the picture, this one up here.
The podcast, yeah.
Yeah, no, if we go in here, so basically there's a prompt. No, I don't want my notes. Here, so this is the prompt that it has. A person recording video in a modern home studio with microphones. So you can change it to whatever you want and then get it to, yeah, it's like person re-recording. That's what it said, didn't it?
So it suggested the prompt.
Yeah.
And you have to do this slide by slide.
No, because a lot of the slides will be fine for whatever it generates, but a lot of times what I wanted to do is to generate a different image because I don't think it tells the story. So I'm, you know, a lot of time what I'm doing, especially if it's something that's technical, is I want to have a picture that's appropriate so that you get the visual cue for what it is. So I'm willing to take a little bit extra time. But 100% admit that this is a manual step, and I haven't found anything that's going to allow me to get past this manual step yet. But that's why I'm for Gamma, because I'm sure that next week something else will come around and it might be better.
I see, yeah, I see that the image too. It put that purple shade. That's what I was hearing.
Oh, sorry, that's what you meant. Yeah, the colors that it's going to give you are based on whatever your theme is. So if you change the theme, it's going to do something else. And then basically what you do is you just export it as a PDF, and then you're good to go. As a PowerPoint, and you're good to go.
So you were describing being able to do this on the fly. So now when you have to change this to your presentation, it will be here.
Yeah, I'm definitely doing it there. That's a huge manual step. I can't do that one on the fly yet.
This is great. Whatever you're describing right now is
Yep.
here, it's done nicer format.
Yeah, that's $10 is buttons. Like, what's the what's PowerPoint? What's the cost for PowerPoint a month these days? It's probably pretty close to $10. 365.
You got it. I use Gamma for some of them, and I have used it a little bit. You can also change which image generation
Yes.
model it uses.
Showed that it will allow you to use. I don't think it has OpenAI, but it does Gemini. It does Flux.
Yeah.
And then I think there's some premium ones in there that if you pay a bit more, it'll pull in some other stuff too as well.
I
So.
found that really nice. Like, depending on what I was generating, like some of them do it certain things better, right? So that
Well, especially before DALL-E got its new upgrade, because DALL-E was terrible before.
Yeah.
So if you did an image before with DALL-E, immediately, if I saw it on the web, I'd go DALL-E.
Right.
I'm not even talking about the Studio Ghibli stuff. That stuff annoyed me so much. But anyway, yeah, I'm a cranky old Irishman. That's what I am. But I'm not even talking about that. It's like but DALL-E is so photorealistic now. I think it's amazing. But
Yeah.
previously, there was a lot of jumping between different models to try and get an image that didn't look like it was, a bit lame. I will say that anything that's got text in it is still pretty bad. The only thing I know that does text well is some of the Adobe FreeFly stuff works really well with text, but you're actually putting the text in manually afterwards, so it just allows you to do an overlay. So that works really well. We're still in the, if you think about it, so we're year 2, maybe year 3 of LLMs. So the similar year 2 or year 3 of the internet. I'm not even talking about the web stuff, maybe year 2 or year 3 of the web. Maybe that's where we're at. So what is that? Like 97, 96, 97 we're probably at. Well, think of the things that happened since then. This stuff is going to explode. It's going to be amazing. Or catastrophic, one or the other. I think it's going to be amazing. Okay, so the other thing that I use, so where are we? So I have my transcript. I've summarized the transcript with ChatGPT. I've redesigned the slides with Gamma. Now I need to create my own voice. What am I going to do with create my own voice? So I'm going to use this tool called ElevenLabs. I think this is probably I'm willing, if anybody's got anything better, but I think this is probably the best one that's out there at the moment. You have a bunch of different choices. The cheapest version that you can use to create your own voice is $29 a month. I'm using one that's $99 a month because it gives me so many credits that I'll never use those credits. I think we get, 300,000 credits a month, which is every word is a credit. So we're not going to do 300,000 words a month, but we were definitely hitting it at the $29 a month. So you get a couple of choices. So you can design a voice. So you can say, hey, I want a voice from South County Dublin, whatever. I want a Cockney voice from London. I want a New York voice, that kind of thing. Instant voice clone. I tried that. It's not very good. And the one that I thought was really good is professional voice clone, and it asks for 30 minutes of clean audio. I would say hours of clean audio, whatever you have. I gave it 4 or 6 hours, and it did pretty good. I think it came pretty close. There's also a new V3 version. It's in beta. I haven't got that to work yet because it doesn't clone my voice at all well, so I haven't been using that much at all. But the V2 version is pretty cool. Okay, so if we go over to...
What's the difference between digital replica and the clone? Is it the same thing?
What is the difference? Instant voice clone. It's like the cheap and nasty version of the professional voice clone.
Okay.
So it doesn't sound like you at all. No, because they're trying to hook you. Yeah, but when you do this and you go, oh, this is crap, I got to pay for it now. So then you go here. So, and it is pretty good. And then it's voice limit of 1 reach. So if you want to get any more, you got to pay more. But I just want my voice. I don't need anybody else at the moment. The narcissist that I am. So there you go.
What's the name of the subject?
Say again?
What is the name of the subject?
It's called ElevenLabs. I'm just going to show it to you now. So it's here.
Oh,
It's these guys. There are so many voices. God, Burt Reynolds is in there. Maybe I should be using Burt Reynolds. No, Richard Burton. Okay. And then, so it's all I have is I just have my voice. And then within your voice, you have a voice ID. So that's this thing. And then whatever voice that you want to do, basically what we're doing is we're going to call it via Python, pass it in the transcript that we just have, and it will give you an audio file. Sure. Yeah, I had a ton of YouTube videos and I just MP4'd them in and just threw them in. Yeah, so because I've been doing these videos for like 2 years, I had a lot of video. So I just took that. And you got to find it, I guess that's a really good point. You have to find the voice that you want to use. So you can't just record your voice and expect that to be your natural voice. Your natural voice is when you're talking to somebody else and you're not really thinking about it. When you're recording a voice to get for a professional voice clone, it's going to be different than the normal voice that you use, the normal cadence that you use when you're trying to talk.
When you're getting it like hours of voice, does it have to all be or can you like have it kind of maybe like
No, it's going to want unique stuff. It is. So whatever you can find of recordings that you had before. I do know that I wasn't that particular about it because there is definitely videos that I gave it where other people were talking to as well, and it filtered that out. So I don't have any of that. So that was pretty good. But I guess the more that you give it, it's going to focus on whatever the highest number of examples that it has. Yeah. So crap in, crap out, same as anything else. Crap in, crap out. So if you give it something that, I was just lucky that I had lots of video, lots of audio, which were attached to MP4s, and it just sucked it in and off we went. Yep. Okay, so you say, okay, copy voice ID. And then what we want to do is re-record the audio. So what we're going to do is the summaries. So we're going to make sure that all our summaries are what we want to actually play. So that actually took the longest until I did the notes trick that we were talking about. So and it's really annoying because here's what happens with humans, and this is what worries me, that I'm going to end up doing this. You get so used to this process that you're not going to double check it when it goes out the door. And then the first thing you're going to know is somebody makes this weird review comment, and then you go, oh crap, I messed up. So you have to listen to all of the final product before you upload it to YouTube, because you're going to find stuff that's wrong. And it's usually mistakes that you made, not mistakes that ElevenLabs made. So ElevenLabs is way better than I thought it was going to be at saying technical terms. The only thing it had a problem with was long strings of numbers. So we said, you got to open port 14550, and it went port 1. But if you separate it into numbers, into 1 space 4 space 5, it could do it. So there's not, I didn't have to tweak it much at all. That's the only tweak I really did to get it going. Okay, so we can edit the summaries, make sure that the summaries are what we want to use in our final product. We're going to split the PowerPoint into images. So we're using LibreOffice to do that. So LibreOffice is the free version of PowerPoint. So if you've used any of the OpenOffice projects, LibreOffice is just one of them. So basically it takes each of the different PowerPoints, splits it into a PDF. I think, what are we using? We're using ImageMagick after that. So LibreOffice takes the giant PowerPoint, turns it into a giant PDF, and then ImageMagick takes the PDF and splits it into individual PNGs. So we have a PNG, which is now going to be our video, and we have the audio, which is the stuff that we're going to do at ElevenLabs. And then we merge them together with FFmpeg. Okay, so this is the step 2. So if you see the code, there's step 1, which is getting the transcripts, and step 2, which is basically doing the work to re-record the audio. So we have convert the PowerPoint to PDF and images, generate the audio for the slide, generate all audio. So generate all audio is called first, which generates the audio for each slide. We're going to generate videos. So generate videos is going to take the audio and the images that we have, generate it for each of the videos, and then generate it together, and then we concatenate it out together. And then I also have a little thing at the end where I have a final call to action video that I just tack on to the end. Okay, so what's that look like? So we have 2 things that we're calling. So this one is LibreOffice, and this one is ImageMagick. I run everything. I'm a Windows guy. I'm not a Mac guy. I'm not a Linux guy. I'm a Windows guy. So all this stuff is running on Windows. So if you're a Windows person, this will work really well. I did put stuff in the README if you want to do it on a Mac or Linux, but this stuff just screams Windows to me, so I just do it in Windows. Okay. You ask ChatGPT, what's the LibreOffice command to change PowerPoints into PDFs? It gives you this. Give it to me in Python. It gives you this. What is the command I need for ImageMagick to convert my PDFs into PNGs? And it basically does it slide by slide and gives us all the different images that we want. Okay, what do we have next? Okay, so we have generate audio. So all I'm doing is I have in my my .environment file, I have my 11 voice ID that I just showed you. I'm passing in this request to ElevenLabs, passing in my API key. So there's a, you know, it's as with all these things, you just say, hey, give me the API key, it gives the API key. I'm using the previous model, which is 11 multilingual V2. V3 is still in beta. I want it to be 0.5 stability. So if you make it 0.5 stability, that's where it's kind of giving me that I'm reading it out loud. I'm reading something out. Maybe want to play around with that to make it a bit better. And then the similarity boost is similarity to my voice, which I cranked all the way up to 3/4. And it seems to work pretty well. Okay. Generate the video. So the main thing that's happening here is, what do we have? We have an image path, we have an audio path, and then we have a video path that we're going to put our output. Here is our giant FFmpeg. So FFmpeg stands for fast for your, I can't stand, what does MPEG stand for? Multi something something. There you go. Okay, we got there. We'll ask ChatGPT when we go home. So as you can see, there's lots of different things that lots of parameters. There's so many parameters in FFmpeg, it's ridiculous. But again, I just asked ChatGPT, and here's what it gave me, and it works great. Same as with ChatGPT. Sometimes it doesn't work the first time. You just kick it and say, didn't work, please fix it, and then it gives you the second time. The second time usually works. And then we have another FFmpeg command here, which is basically concatenating all the videos together into a single video and giving us an output file, which is called final output. I did find with ImageMagick that it wouldn't work. Like, this is a beefy machine. Here's how beefy this machine is. Look at this for a power supply. And it blew up, so it wouldn't work. So, but it was actually my fault, not the machine's fault. So if you're using ImageMagick on a Windows box, the 2 things you have to do is say you want to take out PNG here, so that will always work with PNGs because it's disabled by default. And then you want to just up the memory that it's using because there's plenty of memory in this machine. I just upped it to 1 gig and it worked great. So double and triple whatever the different variables are. That's honestly, that was the hardest thing to figure out. That took me 20 minutes. Everything else was, oh, that works. Oh, that works. Oh, that's cool. Okay, caveats. What caveats do we have? Ums and ahs. See, I just did one there. So it still was putting ums and ahs in. I don't really think that's a problem because it's a lot less than what I normally do. Kind of makes it sound a bit more like me, so I don't really have a problem. Human in the loop is huge. Do not release this in the wild without having a human in the loop. So there's 2 ways I look at this. There's human in the loop and human on the loop. So human in the loop is checking it, and human on the loop is you're just letting it run and then you're just hoping for the best. You have to, as with all these things, and it's just human nature. It works. I don't care. It's Friday. I'm going home. No, you got to check it because otherwise you're going to put stuff up on YouTube that's going to destroy your brand. So always check it, and you'll find weird shit. Like I said, it's usually because something happened in the summaries that you didn't read the first time you read it, and now you're listening to it, you actually pick it up. So make sure that you check everything. your 45-minute video is now going to be 10 minutes, so it's not that hard. So I always recommend that. It's not fully. I don't trust anybody. Yeah, when it comes to this stuff, I don't want to take an engineer off a job to just check my stuff. So, and then anybody else who's not an engineer won't understand the technology. So yeah, we did try, but it didn't work. So I just do it. It probably takes about 4 hours for me to post process these videos, and I'm sure I can get it down shorter. Most of that is fixing the notes and going through the Gamma.app to fix it. So it's about half a day.
Because, like any of us, I see what I expect to see sometimes rather than seeing it actually there.
You know, I understand, but you know what's different? Because you're hearing it in a different format, it appears new to. It goes through a different channel and it appears new. So that's cool. And then the other thing that you can do is you can go into this loop where you go, oh, I should have done that instead. So yeah, I don't know, whatever. And then the other thing is the costs. So the costs are ChatGPT, whatever that is, $20 a month now. I'm using OpenAI API, so that's actually pennies. It doesn't really cost much to do any of this stuff now. I was using one of the cheaper 4 models. I don't know what the ChatGPT 5 is going to cost now with the API. Have you played with it much yet?
I have that thing. One quick note, you're using OpenAI, and I think 5 is actually less expensive than a lot of they go free with that. That's what I heard. I'm using Gemini 2.5 Pro, the API, 1,000 requests a day for free. There's no cost. So just as a quick note, right?
Yeah, it's pretty easy to change the Python to just point at the other model.
Exactly. You know, I have to choose which model it wants to use, which vendor, and so I actually have to bring that up. But you're right, it's pennies.
I don't even think about it anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, it used to be something that I worried about, but I don't like. It failed the other day, and I realized that I put $10 on it like 3 months ago.
Yeah.
And I had to re-up my $10. Like, okay, that's fine, thank you.
Spend like 11 something in like an afternoon when I was messing around with O3 and O3 Pro for the API, but those are also.
And embeddings is expensive, so I don't know if it still is, but embeddings before was expensive, so I haven't done much of that yet. And then, of course, you could always use the open source model now if you want to do that, so you could download that. Or Llama and do it offline. So there's lots Llama if you want to use that too as well. That's really cool. But you do have to pay the $10 for the Gamma, and you do have to pay at least $29 for the ElevenLabs, unless you want to use somebody else's voice, and you could probably get away with the starter thing. Okay, next steps. So more automation. We're already doing that. We're already getting the stuff. So we're taking it from the notes. I don't see a way around Gamma.app unless something else comes out that does what I'm trying to do better. The other thing I did see in Gamma.app is that when it says transform slides, that's actually in beta. So maybe in a month or two that might get better, and I won't have to spend an hour or so doing that. I'm going to redo the slides with the most views. So basically, I'm going back in the old ones and just doing whatever got the most hits that are the oldest and just redoing them. I'm doing this using WSL, which is Windows Subsystem Linux, because ImageMagick and LibreOffice work really well on that. But you could probably get away with using Windows 11. I just haven't done it yet. Cheaper options. Gemini, there you go. It's cheaper option. Different language. I think this is hilarious. Having all my stuff on drones. And I know there's a huge drone community in Mexico, so I want to start hitting that too as well. And then A/B testing. So this is all about YouTube. So you could do slides with one system, do slides with a different system, have more videos on one version, and just see what actually resonates with the audience rather than what you think would resonate with the audience. And then dynamic content. I think all of this is static. I need to have more video in this. So I have to figure out a way to, if I record something, how can I reuse that content? I know that I can change the audio to be my audio, so maybe I can find stuff that some of my engineers have done and then redo the audio so it sounds like it's me all the time. Question?
Another thing you could do, and again, this is probably get expensive fairly quick, but I use HN for video generation. HN is very good at taking audio and generating a video with you speaking like that. If you wanted to have like a little, but it had to be a little.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
So and that works extremely well.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. So, if you want a less expensive option, there is AI.
Mm-hmm.
It is definitely but all 11 today. And another cool thing about HM is HM will do the other languages as well. So like be speaking and then I can do like the second bit and then it's converted to German.
Uh-huh.
And it like
The syncing is good.
and he was blown away. Like they even use like a certain native,
Mm-hmm.
words and stuff. So HM for video generation along with this.
I know there's the Mixtral has a new voice thing that came out. I think it's called Foxtral. I'm not 100% sure what it was. It was in the news of the original slides, and now I completely forgot. So yeah, I think it's Mixtral has one as well, so might be worth trying that. But that won't clone your voice. That's just a voice.
So HM and ElevenLabs, it integrates. So you
Oh.
guys can take your 11 write the script, use your trained ElevenLabs voice,
Yeah, and then put it back in.
and then have it generate the video.
So cool. All right, resources, ElevenLabs, Gamma.app, LibreOffice, ImageMagick, and then I have the code there for you as well. So basically, what is my .env in there? Oh, thank God for that. Phew! Okay. OpenAI API key, 11 API key, and the 11 voice ID. That's basically what you need. And then the step 1, that's basically getting the transcripts. And then step 2 is generating the video. And if you get stuck, shoot me an email. Oh, the easiest way, if you get stuck with any of this, open an issue and I'll just respond to the issue. That's usually the way I do it. Happy to help. That's it. Anybody got any?
You mentioned a newsletter. Changing the stuff you have newsletter subscriptions at all,
Say that again?
You mentioned you have a newsletter.
Yeah.
You guys changing the stuff on YouTube. Has that driven any subscriptions to your newsletter?
No, not really. So we basically the newsletter is a QR code that gets you to a active campaign page, and then you enter your stuff. I might change that in the future and just go to our website and fill in our contact form, that kind of thing. Maybe that would make more sense. Yeah, but it's like this is it. This is A/B testing. So I can do one version 1 week, drop the video, do another version, drop the video, or just leave 2 of them up and see which one wins.
There's plenty of tools out there that I don't have it at the top of my head, so I apologize. But I know that, especially with YouTube, A/B testing, like people are A/B testing thumbnails like real time with like tools. I think there's one I can picture the logo in my head, like, and then they've been A/B testing in different videos and some of it in like the same slot.
Oh, that's cool.
These are external tools. They started to. I know YouTube has started. I think at least the thumbnail thing. Like you can read thumbnail. That's awesome. Yeah. So, but yeah, there's definitely ways you can do it within the same video. So that way you don't have to try with different ones, and that way that one video can keep the like all the algorithm ratings. From
If you find it, can you post it on the meetup?
Yeah.
Because I'd love to see that. And then I did ask. I was trying to show you the code, and I didn't realize I wasn't showing you the code. Okay. So here's the code. Step 1, step 2, like I said, it's pretty straightforward. This was all generated from ChatGPT. I tidied it up a bit, but that was it. And then the other thing that I started doing is, anybody using chapters in their YouTube videos? Yeah, so chapters apparently is the way to go, because that way people will know exactly which, configuration, ElevenLabs, they just hit and go straight to it. And that helps you get people to see more and more, or to stay longer and longer on your video rather than just coming in for a second then bouncing off. So, yeah, this is fun. I'm enjoying this. I'm going down a rabbit hole, you can see. But I'm having fun. Anything else? All right. Thanks very much.
Awesome.